little optimism.
Subscribe, leave a voicemail, and share the show with a brother.
Chewie, get us out of here!
Time to abandon ship.
It's great to be in the Empire today.
Star Wars Escape Pod is the pod for you.
There's the Republic's choice of podcast anywhere in the galaxy.
If you are tuning in right now, don't go anywhere. Leave a review and make it a good one.
Empire today. Empire today. I thought that was a pretty good take. Pray I don't alter my performance any further.
All right, welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod and our second episode to Cantina Banter with your co-host Blake. Welcome back, sir.
Ahoy! Good to be back. And this is impromptu banter episode.
Yeah, impromptu indeed, because of scheduling mishap on my part. We didn't actually get our guest this evening.
So look forward to hearing us speak with Francis next week.
Yeah, which when it airs, it'll be the week after.
That's true.
So anyway, okay, cool. But yeah, hey, this is what Cantina Banter's for.
That's right.
This is why we have these intros, these awesome intros, to laid back style. Yeah. All right. So believe it or not, we do have like a few things on the soft roster here, the soft schedule, penciled in, if you will.
I don't know about these soft pencils.
Spontaneously come up with the subjects, I guess. It came up with the subjects. That's what I meant to say. Yeah. Anyway, man, this tune goes hard, doesn't it?
It goes for a long time.
All right, there we go. Okay, first thing. You know what? No, I like it.
Hey, whatever floats your boat.
We'll leave it coasting for a little bit. Rian Johnson, big news of the week. You remember that guy?
I do. Didn't he direct some sort of Star Wars movie?
I think he directed one of them.
I think, and there was a plan for him to do 3 more, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so. Not that anyone saw those, or maybe even knew about them. I feel like maybe.
I feel like it was pretty a hot topic on Twitter for a good while.
It was a hot topic on Mike Zero. I think that's where it was a hot topic.
Man, I forgot about Mike Zero. It's been a while.
He's still making stuff, man. He's
good
still
for him. That's awesome.
Yeah, still churning stuff out.
Before episode 7, I think I watched him quite often.
Yeah.
Man, that was like 10 years ago.
Oh man, those are the days. Those are the days when we were like grasping at straws, you know? Grasping at straws.
They were pretty tight-lipped about episode 7.
Yeah, they were.
There wasn't really. I don't know if I read anything that was accurate. It was all just nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lots of speculation.
Yeah, a lot of speculation, a lot of a lot of guessing.
Yeah.
A lot of wanting something to talk about for that day at lunchtime.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Star Wars was such a hot topic. It was just like the biggest clickbait thing you could do.
Oh yeah.
There was just nonsense articles every day.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. Like so much stuff, you know. But here we are all these years later. I mean, you know, it's a different time.
It is. It feels slower. Is that just me? I feel like maybe it's the energy level. The energy level feels lower.
I think it is the energy level. I think it's like the excitement around stuff is like less.
Okay, is that like you've been feeling that too? Because I've been very busy in my personal life the last few years, so I don't know if I just haven't had the time to invest like I have in the past.
Yeah.
Or if the vibe actually is lower.
I don't know if it's like burnout or what. I know people have talked a lot about having Marvel fatigue.
Yeah,
and I wonder,
that I'm completely there. I'm not interested in watching any more Marvel movies.
Yeah, and I just wonder maybe if like Star Wars fans are a different kind of fan in the sense where like, you know, once a fan, always a fan. Like
Yeah.
you're always
They
going to
survived-
appreciate stuff.
They
but
survived the dark times.
yeah, but it's different in the sense of like, okay, you're still, people are still people, right? So like if you flood the market with like all this stuff, I think like there's inevitably going to be some sort of, you know, emotional slowdown with the excitement in the air, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how George played it, right? Because it was really big with the original trilogy, and then quiet, and then the prequels were massive. I don't think there was a toy on Earth that wasn't represented by Star Wars at that time,
Yeah, and
especially the Phantom Menace.
no, it's true, and it's crazy. You can tell that there's a different cultural change around how media is coming out nowadays because those movies relied heavily on sponsors for product placement and also
ads
toys.
Ads on kids' television channels.
Yeah.
I remember a lot of that, especially ads of like Pepsi and stuff. and
Oh
Pizza
yeah.
Hut.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think I sent you guys. Did I send you a video recently about the Star Wars Pepsi vending machine by any chance?
I think we talked about it. I don't remember a video.
Okay, all right, because it jogs my memory now. More recently, they've in the line of Disney's recent habits making partnerships with the Coca-Cola company. They're doing a whole lineup of Star Wars Coke cans now, right?
Oh, cool.
Which is neat. But
Is that just for any specific series or show, or is it?
it's just like
for fun?
Coke cans with the characters' faces on it. It's
Right.
just a promotional
It's weird.
thing.
It's weird with it not being a push for some media thing, though.
Yeah, and like you know, I don't know why it's now because like there's nothing new
Yeah,
coming out,
exactly.
right? So like I don't really know why it's
And-
now as opposed to later in the year or earlier or maybe when High Republic was coming out.
Could have
Like
done it with Andor.
yeah, could have been done.
It's weird
at
that-
any point.
They could have just done it like 6 months ago, and it would have been
Yeah,
more hype, I guess.
yeah, totally. But no, yeah, it's before the Disney buyout. Lucasfilm had different partnerships, different companies that they would
Pepsi instead of Coke.
like Pepsi instead of Coke. Yeah, and so someone made
Pizza Hut instead of Pizza 73.
oh yeah, someone's
I don't think that's true. I'm making that up.
yeah, Jabba the Hutt, Pizza Hut.
Yeah, it's Pizza the Hut,
Yeah, it was.
which is
yeah.
funny because Baseballs had a Pizza the Hut.
Someone made this video of the Star Wars Episode 1 Pepsi vending machine, and here, let me just play this little short here.
That's awesome. Oh, it's miniature.
Yeah,
It's got the George Lucas Stormtrooper getting the soda.
yeah.
Funny. Oh my goodness.
It's battery operated with a light inside and
That's
everything.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's super sweet. It's a miniature replica version of the Episode 1 Pod Racer Pepsi vending machine. And yeah, this thing is crazy. Like I don't know if you've ever seen these in person.
A miniature one?
No, like a full size one.
I remember the ads. I don't know if we had them in Canada.
There was here is an ad from like a long time ago here. Pepsi commercial.
That cheeseburger you do not want.
I do not want that cheeseburger.
Those fries give Yoda.
Here, have my fries.
Your drink desire you not.
The Diet Pepsi, I do want.
Want you not.
Do
Not want.
This summer, grab a Diet Pepsi and see Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Just a great commercial, you know? Like,
It was fun.
yeah.
Well, I didn't realize it was episode 3 till I saw CG Yoda.
Yeah, they had a Pepsi thing going for the whole prequel trilogy, and
Did they do a Yoda ad in for Phantom Menace with the like burnt out looking Yoda?
oh man, I
So, like
I don't know.
the new puppet they made for Phantom Menace is like super sketchy.
Yeah, oh man, that would be crazy. I saw this. I'll try and if I can remember, I'll put a link in the description below. But this channel here, the Collector's Outpost, YouTube channel on YouTube. This video that they did about the mini Pepsi Star Wars vending machine. Was just a great video to watch. They also talked a little bit of historical value as to why somebody made a mini vending machine for Pepsi. So I'll just play like 20 seconds here, and then
It's a good
talk
question.
little-
It's a good question to why he
Oh.
made that in the first place.
Oh yeah, exactly, yeah.
In a galaxy far, far away known as Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, at the Mount Washington Fire Station lies a relic of a Pepsi vending machine. This Pepsi machine is so popular that the fire department actually upkeeps the maintenance on this, and Pepsi has actually donated money to the fire department in show of support. Since 1999, this Phantom Menace Star Wars Pepsi machine has sat there for Star Wars fans to come and enjoy. To this day, decades later, Star Wars fans still travel out to this just to go there and take selfies with. And as a Star Wars fan and collector like myself, it's a little hard to, see something like that out in the wild and not say, oh, I want that in my life. Where do I get one? I'm not even sure how many of those things actually exist in the world. However, if you are a collector and you do want this vending machine, I might have the next best option for you.
So go and check out his video. It was really great. He holds up the little miniature vending machine there, and that was what we were watching a short on. But really cool stuff. It was big. Pepsi was big back then, and
is Pepsi not big now?
No, well, it was. I mean, I feel like it may have been bigger back then. I don't know.
They had a lot more ads.
Yeah, they did, and they certainly had the partnership with Star Wars, which is not around anymore. So, why did we start talking about Pepsi again? I'm trying to think.
On a tangent.
Oh, yes, we went on a tangent here. Okay, so we were talking about the culture shift, right? So
yeah, but that originally spun out of us talking about Rian Johnson.
Right. Yes. we'll get back on track eventually, as Cantina banter goes. This is how it is. So the culture shift is couple words here. 1 Lego set for Skeleton Crew. One Lego set for Andor.
So bummed.
4 Lego sets for Ahsoka. Right. Like we're talking hours.
And the Andor set was a downsize from the Rogue One version.
Yeah, we're talking. Well, I mean, okay, we'll talk about that later. But like with the shrinkflation of Lego, but as far as like the availability of merchandising and products and kids related stuff, which let's be honest, like a lot of adults are buying that stuff too. It's just kind of shrinking away. It's almost like the need to have the money come in from products and toys and stuff is just becoming less relevant now, because they're making money through other means, right? And these are shows that are being developed for Disney Plus. So they're acquiring the financing for these projects in other ways, right?
Right, because it's not independently owned. It's Disney.
And it's affecting other things. Like it's affecting like what you see on the shelf at the Lego store. It's affecting like what kind of action figures you're looking at Toys R Us.
I always thought at least the Lego stuff, I thought the designers really got a lot of creative control of which things they wanted to make.
I think they do. I do believe that Lucasfilm has like a part to play in like what kind of sets are released at what point when it comes to what the set's trying to capture here. Like there is definitely a line of communication between them giving designs for like a ship or a set or something like that, in which the Lego designers then take that, make a set based on something, along with minifigure designs, and that goes through many months of progress. And that's usually probably overlapping the production of a show, right?
I would think, yeah, because a lot of times it launches like shortly after.
Yeah, exactly. I think Skeleton Crew was one of the few sets that launched weirdly a couple months before the show came out.
Yeah, that was pretty bizarre.
It was really strange, but that's what I mean. Like,
was this show pushed, or was that just like a weird circumstance?
No, I think it may have just been like a weird circumstance kind of thing. But
yeah, I didn't think it released late. I thought that it seemed like it was on schedule.
Yeah, and then get this: 0 Acolyte Lego at all. Nothing.
That's true.
Nothing at all.
Do you think this also has to do with like Andor? I guess I was gonna say like age of the show, but Andor's for an older audience, and they made a set for that.
Andor still got one. Yeah, one between 2 seasons.
Right.
So it's not a lot.
I think they're still putting out stuff for Clone Wars and and the original trilogy though.
Clone Wars was like the greatest gift George ever gave, almost in some ways. Like it's like feeding the fandom forever. There's always
so what you're saying is George figured out a way to make profit forever.
Yeah, I think so. I think
I was yeah, that was the idea. 8 seasons. Would have gone forever. Forever.
It's great because as the kids get old and they don't want any more, new kids come up and they just give me their money. So then they get old and then some more kids, they grow up and they give me their money. So it's just endless money. It's great.
That's when you make a sequel show like The Bad Batch. You
milk a little more.
and capture the next generation of kids.
Where's the button?
Which button?
The yogurt button.
The Yoda button?
Yogurt.
Yogurt.
For Spaceballs.
Oh, merchandise?
That's the one.
Oh man, I think I don't think I have this on the soundboard. Actually, I got to put that on there.
Yeah, how do
it's
you not
on.
have
It's on
it
our
on there?
Discord.
Yeah,
it's on our
the
Discord
one.
soundboard. Yeah.
You haven't learned anything.
All right, Obi-Wan, calm down. Yeah. Anyway, so big culture shift, lots of Pepsi, all that stuff. Anyway, so how do we get onto this from Ryan Johnson? I forget.
Vibes.
It's all Ryan Johnson's fault. I'm just kidding.
Well, it's kind of semi-related because I feel like with the toy sales, I think the sequel movies undersold the toys they were expecting, and now a lot of toys companies, I think, are more hesitant to make stuff for anything new.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they keep putting. That's what I was gonna say. That's why they keep putting out stuff for like the Clone Wars era or original trilogy.
Yeah.
Even though there's all this new stuff coming out, it's like they're afraid to risk new product.
Right. I think so. And it's a shame because like, not that I have room for more stuff around here, but like it's nice to see the excitement around Star Wars, which is at its in its historical track record. A lot of the excitement has been generated from the sale of merchandising.
Oh yeah.
It's like going back to like the
Direct
Empire
advertising
Strikes
to
Back.
children, right?
Yeah. Like I feel
Was
like
it New Hope? Because them toys came out after the movie. They had a rushed production, right? So I guess I guess there would have been no ads except for the movie itself.
A New Hope had less, but like I feel like it was like a huge thing for Empire, like tons of toys, right? And then
because that's when George realized that's where the money is.
Yeah, and also I think
deal
at one
Fox.
point between the two movies, I think Star Wars came back into theaters again, and they rescreened it again before
VHS.
Empire came out. That was when it was renamed, I believe.
Oh, really?
I
Okay.
think so. Yeah. Feel free to call me out on if I got the wrong year, but yeah, that's I think that's when it was given the A New Hope title and episode 4. So
cool.
Yeah. So anyway,
so there's news about Ryan Johnson.
Yeah, there's news about Ryan Johnson. Maybe you can give some historical value to why we're talking about Ryan Johnson.
Well, it was announced that he would do his own trilogy, and then after the sequel's finished, just kind of faded into the shadows. And a lot of people thought they were just secretly shelving it and just didn't want to say anything. But no matter what, Ryan Johnson, he stuck his heels down and he never gave way. If anyone asked, he said it was coming out. He was still working on it. So is there finally an update?
Yeah. Is there? Definitely worth looking at the original interview for the role. The original interview is on rollingstone.com. So go to the link down in the description below and we'll have a link to it there. But the takeaway here is a question that they asked Ryan when they were talking to him about stuff. The question is, what happened to or with the other Star Wars trilogy that were talks of you doing? And Ryan says, this is his reply: nothing really happened with it. We had a great time working together and they said, let's keep doing it. I said, great. I would kick ideas around with Kathy. The short version is Knives Out happened. I went off and made Knives Out and was off to the races, busy making murder mysteries. It's the sort of thing, if down the line there's an opportunity to do it or do something else in Star Wars, I would be thrilled. But right now I'm just doing my own stuff and pretty happy. And they asked, how far did you get in terms of an idea? Was there a whole thing mapped out, or at least what were the first of those would be? And he says, it was all very conceptual. I made Knives Out fairly quickly after. There was never any outline or treatment or anything. And then they followed up with the question, are there certain kinds of movies that you have not yet made that you would like to make? And then he says, yeah, absolutely. I would love to do a musical at some point. I'm a big musical fan. Any kind of movie I haven't made yet, I would like to make. It's a little bit of, it goes on about musicals and stuff like that. So, that was it. That was all he said. And I feel like the Ryan Johnson Star Wars trilogy kind of sits in this bin of unused ideas.
So, because some stuff, did they publicly announce? They've announced that they've shelved stuff before.
Yeah, they've shelved, officially they've shelved
Squadron.
2 things. They've shelved Rangers of the New Republic, the TV show or the Disney Plus show. Then they've shelved Rogue Squadron,
both X-Wing shows.
The Patty Jenkins movie that would have come out, and I think Starfighter is technically kind of a stand-in for Rogue, like the spiritual stand-in.
That's what it kind of seems like.
Yeah, in a different era, of course, and
if it does well, maybe we'll get our Rogue Squadron or something.
Yeah, different director and everything like that. I feel like whatever happened with Patty Jenkins, though, like, you know, I don't remember hearing any negative reason as to why it fell through.
Yeah.
I feel like it was all completely scheduling and this and that, and maybe just trying to get a script off the ground. But they did a huge promotional like video for it and everything, with Patty Jenkins getting into an X-Wing fighter and talking about how her dad was in like the Air Force.
Oh man,
you know,
that's pretty cool. That was at Celebration, because I remember them talking about it at Celebration.
Yeah, it was like, I think they did it for Celebration, or maybe it was for a Comic-Con or something like that. Maybe here I got the audio right here. Here we go. It was a 1 minute and 30 second little like blurb here. So let's take a listen.
I love to move fast and speed of any kind. I think that that's because I grew up the daughter of a great fighter pilot, and every day I would wake up and go outside and look up and see my father and his squadron taking off and their F-4s roaring across the sky, and it was the most thrilling thing still I've experienced in my entire life. So when he lost his life in service to this country, it ignited a desire in me to turn all of that tragedy and thrill into one day making the greatest fighter pilot movie of all time. But try as I might and look as I did, I couldn't find the right story ever. I kept looking and looking, but I just couldn't find the right one until now. Now I found a movie about two things I love. So I'm going to see you very soon.
She just puts on an X-Wing helmet and an orange jumpsuit, and she's walking over. It's an X-Wing. Yeah, and then the title card, Rogue Squadron.
Man, I still think it's a good idea. And it's kind of, honestly, a little bit brutal that they like did this heartfelt thing for her and then just nothing happened.
Yeah, I know, it sucks. Like, I mean, I hope that the movie happens for her. It just seems so unlikely at this point that
We have to come
maybe
back
we won't.
around to the original trilogy era of shows, which I guess they just did Andor, but
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think anyone would be opposed to it or anything, but it's just like, you know, these kinds of things happen where time goes by, the moment has passed, and, you know, the idea kind of fades, right? And it's just like, okay, well, now we've got these other things on the roster. We want to do these other projects.
what's funny is I feel like I'm personally more interested in that Rogue Squadron movie than some of the other announced stuff.
Yeah, because now they've announced multiple projects. They've got the Dave Filoni movie, Ahsoka Season 2 in the works.
Dave Filoni, the movie.
They've got the Star Wars Squadrons movie filming this fall. They have The Mandalorian and Grogu coming out next year. They have the Dawn of the Jedi movie theoretically possibly happening with James Mangold at the helm of that. And then they have the new Jedi Order Rey movie that's being helmed, allegedly by the director of the Miss Marvel show. And Daisy Ridley would be returning to star in that movie. So, you know, they have a pretty full schedule.
Yeah, I don't know if they would fit that in. And those are all
if they're committed
movies?
to.
Those aren't shows.
Well, Starfighter, New Jedi Order, Dave Filoni's movie, and the James Mangold Dawn of the Jedi thing. Those are all movies. So that's 4, with a 5th being Mandalorian and Grogu coming out next year. So,
and we know nothing about this Dave Filoni movie other than he's just making a movie.
It'll very likely take place as a stand-in for spiritual successor for Ahsoka and Mandalorian, and most likely take place within the New Republic era.
Right.
So that's the penciled in outline at the moment, right? So adding another thing back into that, it's like, okay, where do we fit this in? Disney's planning years in advance. I mean, like their Marvel brand brings in so much box office on an annual basis.
Still.
I mean, like, it's less, but still brings in a lot of money. So, you know, they have to plan these these release dates like years in advance, and they obviously don't want it competing with one of their own movies.
Right. Yeah.
Within a few
it's
weeks,
extra
right?
tricky once you have a monopoly on the film industry, you're competing with yourself.
Yeah, they're competing with themselves essentially, and then it's also like it's one of those things. It's like, okay, what are we competing against? Because the weekend that say Lilo and Stitch hits the theater, what else can people look? If they're only going to buy one ticket, what else would they go to see? Right.
Tuesday only comes around once a week.
Yeah.
So you can only go to the movie on Tuesdays. Let's be honest.
Well, and some people just don't go to the theater as much anymore,
Yeah, that's definitely
or
the
not
case.
at all. And it's
The
a
last
sad
decade,
thing.
You could almost argue that what broke the pattern was COVID. and
COVID
lockdowns.
is the reason that the theaters have not quite recovered yet.
Do you think it's coming? I feel like because so many young people grew up in that period of not going to the theater, they also just don't have an interest in going to the theater.
Yeah, it is sad. I mean, I hope that there's a resurgence for going to the cinema, but I think like some of these CEOs are having to get really creative with how they make an entertainment multiplex. Like you're seeing arcades and other things like restaurants and services like
bring in other things for
cash. VIP theaters where you can like 19 plus, you can have drinks and alcohol and your dinner like with the movie in a heated reclinable seat. It's
the same thing with Lego putting out these extra expensive sets. They're now catering to the audience that still shows up,
right?
Because they're all older. And that's what they want. They want to have a drink and recline.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's also, like Screen X, which is like the peripheral vision theater. You got the screens on the left and the right, and
Is that
in front.
owned by Elon Musk?
No, it's actually a company that does Screen X. Not nothing to do with Musk, but I'm sure he would probably buy it in a heartbeat.
Probably at least the license, like the name copyright.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, like they have to get more creative, right? Like they have to get, and even still, they have to keep pushing the demands of the audience to try and. It sucks because I feel like it's harder now to keep someone's attention, and more so now than ever because there's so many ways to entertain somebody.
There's so much more competition. Yeah.
Yeah, like nowadays you can go to a VR arcade, and like have an entire room to yourself with like 7 other friends and like compete in a zombie survival shooter game,
right?
For the same price as going go-karting for an hour and a half or 45 minutes or something like that, or going to see 2 movies in the theater where you're sitting there. And that might not necessarily be the kind of thing that you and your social group want to do because you are just sitting in a dark room together watching a movie, right? So yeah, there is a lot of harsh competition out there for entertainment now.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking back to our era, if there was nothing good on television because it was all on a set schedule, you couldn't pick what you wanted, then you'd throw in a Star Wars VHS.
Yeah, exactly. Or you go to the video store, you go to the Blockbuster, or and you rent something. Like there's an entire industry, there's an entire business that has been just trampled over by streaming services because of just them wanting to. I mean, it's at the end of the day, the answer is money, right? It was a money making idea, and it was a successful money making idea that now all these other companies are being competitive over to try and grab your attention to be their consumer for that money making idea, right? So it's like for creatives in the entertainment industry, for people like Ryan Johnson here, to be at essentially subject to that on top of release schedules, money available to make the project that he wants to make, as well as creative interests in what are these movies about? What kind of era are we making these movies in right now? Like, does it work with our strategy for developing a new Jedi Order and a Dawn of the Jedi era simultaneously?
Man, there's a lot of hurdles.
Like, there's a ton of hurdles, right? And so, like, on the one hand, it's like, it doesn't surprise me that it's not that nothing's happened yet.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's like, will it happen? And like the answer is probably like most likely not.
I think they just never wanted to say anything official because they always wanted to leave the door open.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably the best way to leave it and put it, really, is like, anytime that this comes up, it's like, it's in the same state that it was, 2 days ago. It's the same state that it was in 2 years ago. And, the short answer is like, yeah, they're just leaving the door open in case they ever want to do it again. And the kind of news that it gets around, I feel like that kind of news of Rian Johnson doing a Star Wars trilogy, would not be news 15, 20 years ago. Like that would be behind closed doors. But now everything's very public, right? Like everyone knows everything now. So it's
it's hard to keep that stuff under wraps. And when we're listening, or when you're reading the quote of Ryan replying, I couldn't help but think, how many times has he been asked this in the last 8 years?
Yeah, probably too many.
Probably a lot.
Probably too many times. Yeah. He does go on to give his opinions about some things in The Rise of Skywalker, as well as some questions that they asked about The Last Jedi all these years later, and I feel like it's one of those things. Star Wars is, for anyone who even touches Star Wars, it's the gift that keeps on giving, because it's a conversation starter. So, here he is. How long has it been since his movie came out? 8 years? 7 years, maybe?
Somewhere in there, 7 or 8, yeah.
Yeah, and 2017. So, what's that?
8.
Yeah, 8 years, yeah. So, 8 years, episode 8. So all these years later, and they're still asking him about, what inspired you to put a ship into hyperspace into another ship, and there's the questions like that are still being asked, and it's okay,
8 years later.
Yeah. And
oh my gosh.
And it's here in the article.
It's funny because this is stuff George was asked his entire life, and I feel like he just got so over it.
Yeah, I feel like
and now it's just everyone who works on a Star Wars movie that just takes on the mantle of what George had to deal with.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I feel like it's the gift that keeps on giving. You never need to,
because so much has come out since then that you think people would have moved on to whatever the new thing is and asking questions about that.
Yeah, definitely. But that's the thing is like Star Wars is just such a special thing. It's never not gonna go away. Once you touch it, it's it just sticks with you forever. It's it's like glue. Especially for all these directors that are they're tied to it. Their whole career in the future after they do a Star Wars movie is tied to the outcome of those movies. So yeah, it can be a very nerve-wracking thing to do.
Was Rian Johnson? Did he play a small part in Rogue One? Because I thought he traded with Gareth Edwards. Am I crazy about that?
Gareth Edwards cameoed in, he was in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, but did they do it the other way around? I thought it was some thing between them.
I don't know. He may have cameoed in Rogue One. It wasn't as direct though.
Right.
But he
was kind of fun. I'm just thinking. Sorry, I'm just going off with Gareth Edwards because he also was the one who got the plans from Vader. Right. He played that.
Yeah,
trooper.
Yeah.
So he did that, and he was in Episode 8. And
it's the same character.
Yeah, just didn't age.
Oh man,
like a time lord.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the Rian Johnson news this week. I mean, anytime I see him on it behind the scenes, he's always such a happy, jolly guy.
Yeah, it does always seem like he's in a good mood, and considering how much flack he got online,
it's unfortunate, that he got all the flag. It's good on him for keeping a good attitude.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, it sucks that he was delivered the one segment of a story that he was delivered, because I feel like if I was to watch a Rian Johnson Star Wars movie where he had creative liberty to do whatever he wanted to do, and not necessarily be limited by the ending of somebody else's movie to set up his movie.
Yeah, it's hard to be right and direct the middle part.
Yeah, and also to set it up so that someone can finish off a trilogy for your story. It's a tough thing to do, and I feel like even though Force Awakens was a successful financial hit, it was still not widely accepted by just everybody, right?
Well, I had the same story arc as Phantom Menace. First came out, everyone was very excited about it. Then over time, people started to nitpick it, and then the tides turned.
Right.
It was identical to Phantom Menace.
Yeah, definitely. In many ways, it had the same kind of energy behind the audience, right? So, yeah.
I maintain, to get fan approval across the board, or at least majority, of the sequel trilogy, they just need to make an additional trilogy. And then everyone will be upset with that one. And suddenly, what we have wasn't so bad.
The sequels.
That's right.
All right. So we're going to transition here because I think we do have two other things that we wanted to bring up. But yeah, one thing, a little bit of a more lighthearted thing, friend of ours, asked a question. Personal headcanon. Okay. What canon Legends material isn't included in your personal headcanon?
So it is included?
Is or isn't included in your personal headcanon, and why? I got an easy one. Darth Plagueis.
I was just going to say.
Darth Plagueis, the novel by James Luceno.
Yeah.
Easily considered yes in my headcanon. This entire book happened.
It ties so much together. The fact that it hasn't been recanonized is ridiculous.
I know. It's stupid, honestly. I was like, I kind of wish that I kind of hope that they don't continue telling the Darth Plagueis story in The Acolyte, because I know that it's not going to live up to the Darth Plagueis book.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
Do you think that's where they're going to go with it?
I think they were going to retell a story with Darth Plagueis in that time period and make it the canon version. I think they were going to completely ignore any events of that book.
Which then would have upset a lot of people, myself included.
Yeah, it would have. It would have upset a lot of people. It would have upset me. And I think it wasn't great on top of the existing stigma around that show in the first place, and then to maybe, if they did get our season 2 and did get a chance to tell more with Darth Plagueis, like, as cool as that could be,
like
I'm also kind of worried that it would like drastically negatively affect, Star Wars fans. I feel like everyone would be really mad because everyone loves that book.
It is a really good book.
Everyone, not a Star Wars fan I've met hasn't loved that book.
If people read it, yeah.
If people have read
I'm
it.
surprised Dave hasn't done anything and taken any steps to canonize it, even through like Clone Wars and stuff.
I think that would be one of my 10 questions. If I had 10 questions to ask Dave Filoni, that would definitely be on the list.
Dave, what's wrong with you? Why haven't you canonized this book yet?
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
Disney bought us.
Yeah.
It's one of the canceled arcs.
I think another thing that I'm of the mind that everything that they do, it happened. You know what I mean? Like, some people have the ability to be like, no, I can just forget about that story. It's like, it's dead to me. It's never happened, because like,
even in the EU you're talking?
Yeah, just like, no, not EU, but just like canon storylines.
Official canon. Okay.
Official canon, like people who don't like certain movies.
Even the Asajj revival?
Yeah, even the Asajj, even the Ventress revival. Like, I feel like, okay, I'm not happy about it, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, well, it happened. It means that they're planning on bringing this character back. I guess we'll wait and see. But some people are able to be like, you know what? I just hate the sequel so much. I'm going to forget that they ever existed, and then they just refuse to, they just they're okay with that. And I'm like, I don't know how.
Away with it for now, because let's be honest, the sequels and the original trilogy, even though they take place right after one another, the way they made the sequels, it doesn't feel that connected. So you can kind of get away with it, at least for now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and crack that open. Yeah. I feel like it's one of those things that it puzzles me a little bit, because I wish I could turn that part of my brain off that, nags at me when I don't like something, because it exists.
They make drugs for that.
But Star Wars is different, you see, because if you look at DC or you look at Marvel, those mythologies, if you will,
I'm not going to like my opinion on this.
Are ever growing. They're ever expanding. And it's easy enough for a storyteller to come in, kind of like James Gunn comes in and he hits the reboot button.
Right.
And he just tells a whole new story all over again with a different cast, keeps the bits that he wants to make, and just calls it a different universe. Right. And the same thing with Marvel. And it's like, you got 3 Spider-Mans. You got 3 Spider-Mans told across, say, 15, 20 years worth of movies. And they all got to be in the same Spider-Man movie. And it was a blockbuster hit. It made $1 billion. And it's like, that kind of storytelling.
In animation, you mean?
No, in live action. Like Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland.
When was this?
Yeah, like 3 years ago.
I don't think I watched that one.
Okay, well, it was one of the best Spider-Man movies ever made.
I should watch it, because I actually love Spider-Man.
And I can't believe I spoiled that for you.
What
the heck?
Spider-Man No Work From Home or something?
It's Spider-Man. No Way Home.
Okay.
Yeah. I got to think about that for a second. But
See,
yeah,
these names are so generic.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
It's
Anyway.
one of my personal irks.
And then there's other mythologies like that don't necessarily do well under a reboot. You know, there's mythologies like the Lord of the Rings or even Harry Potter, right?
Well, I think often it depends on how good the original was. Because the bar
Yeah.
for both of those are so high.
Yeah, and exactly. And you keep asking yourself, like, how is it possible for anyone to remake this cinematic blockbuster masterpiece in a better way at all?
It can't really be done.
It can't really be done. And so that's why I'm still like, I mean, we're not a Harry Potter podcast here, but like, I'm still puzzled as to the possible miserable downfall of this HBO series that they plan to do.
They're doing it because it's been so long since the other movies. To keep the fan base like growing, they need to redo it to make it allow it to grow with another younger audience.
Well, see, like that's where the Fantastic Beasts movies came in. And
they just did not catch on.
They didn't,
Not
and
in the
they
same
could have shifted. They could have pivoted and shifted gears and changed how they were doing prequel Harry Potter movies. Right?
It should have just been at Hogwarts. It could have just been different kids.
Dude, they could have
at
done
Hogwarts.
anything. They
It
could
would
have
been
done.
fine.
They could have done anything in that same world. And
I don't know about that because, to be honest, this is my opinion. If it's not at Hogwarts, it doesn't feel like Harry Potter. It can be in the wizarding world, but it just feels like a generic magical fantasy movie.
I guess a lot of people probably agreed with you, which is why the Fantastic Beasts movies like didn't do as well financially, right? But it was also the COVID kind of killed the series as well because the third one came out during the pandemic.
Right. So they were filming, right? So they also had to film people like independently or something.
Well, it released during the they were done filming, but it released during the pandemic. All post production was during pandemic, and that definitely affected the sales a lot, and they took a huge hit from that. But the theme parks, the merchandise, the Lego sets, Warner Brothers, everything is all based on the live action film. So you've built up this idea of how things look and how things feel,
right?
And now it's going to be completely different in this other retelling, right? And it's just,
are they aesthetically changing it quite a lot? Like, have they released pictures or anything?
If I was to guess, I would say yes. Like, it's not going to necessarily.
So this is speculation, is what you're telling me.
This is speculation. Well, I mean, first off, there's a new kid who is not Daniel Radcliffe, right? But like, I imagine that everything will be different to go along with that. I think the castle will look slightly different. I think it'll have the same idea behind it, kind of like if I play Hogwarts Legacy, the video game. Like, it looks like Hogwarts and it has the same silhouette and everything, but it's different, and it's fundamentally different than the one that I'm used to from the movie. So I feel like that's what the show's going to be like. And I feel like Star Wars is one of those series that you can go into it with this idea that let's hit the reboot button eventually when people get completely, utterly sick of it or done with it and they want to, kind of like Star Trek, right? But even Star Trek was in a different universe.
Right.
And it was like, parallel to...
Because they didn't want to make everyone mad, that's why.
Yeah.
Because they knew.
And it's like, how do you do that with Star Wars? Like, it literally is a growing mythology in modern day. Like,
that's why at one point, there was rumors that Disney was going to hit the reboot and, like, start over. Like how they did, like, the X-Men First Class thing.
Yeah, right. But then that's a comic book thing. Like, it's in the literature.
Came from,
like the mythology of the comic book universe,
Star Wars
allows for that to happen. But yeah, exactly. It doesn't work with Star Wars. Like it's never gonna work with Star Wars, right? And so
no, because these characters are tied to those actors. It would not be the same. But I guess you could argue the same thing with Daniel Radcliffe. But
and like
we'll see what happens with that.
The other way to look at it is like Disney has made their investment back. Like they've clearly made billions of dollars on whatever they paid for the Lucasfilm as a company and the Star Wars rights. Like they've got the theme park set up.
Pretty much did that from the first movie.
They've brought in however many hundreds of millions of dollars to Disney parks because of Star Wars, right? They have brought in so much money from merchandising. They've brought in however many millions upon billions of dollars from both Disney Plus stuff and even though Disney Plus doesn't really make any money at the moment, but the idea being it's going to be profitable.
Getting new imagery in front of people that can then sell new toys and products.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like they've definitely made their money back. Like Force Awakens paid it back like almost half instantly.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, okay, the sequel trilogy that was what the sequel trilogy was for. It was to pay for the company. And
it makes sense.
That sucks to think of it like that, but that's what it was for. So we're in this period of time now where it's like we don't have the hype of getting an episode 7, 8, and 9. So like, where do they take it? You know, and it's
a weird spot.
Yeah, it is. And we totally fell off the headcanon train here, but
Yeah, entirely.
Darth Plagueis, yeah, sweet spot.
That's a good one.
Can you think of anything else?
I know there's gonna be more. I feel like I personally, until we see it take place on screen, which feels like that's where it's going, but I don't really know. I would still argue the Thrawn trilogy is accurate in my head.
Yeah, okay. So
it's altered slightly now, like Ahsoka and stuff. But I feel like the big story beats could still fit.
The spirit of the story.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right. It was like kind of yeah, makes sense to you in your head.
Yeah. I'm also gonna say that Boba Fett still has clone cancer.
I'd be down for that.
I think that's a good story arc. I wish they would do that. It's really unique.
It is a good story.
It's something that only he would have happened to him because he was created in a lab.
Yeah. See, I'm very different in that sense where I'm not able to fit a lot of Legends material in my head anymore.
But like
with
Tor, you played Tor,
canon.
right?
Tor is, I have played Tor. Tor is one of those games that is so far behind the narrative of modern,
like time gap, you mean?
Yeah, like modern canon books, like the earliest of canon books and the stories that they share is still like that game takes place way before then. So like, and I've never been overly attached to Tor as far as the narrative goes, but like
it got pretty out there by the end.
Yeah, like if elements of it were to be kept canon and the villains, and I know they have like canonized some people from before that game takes place, like Darth Bane, and or maybe it's after. Sorry, after that game takes place.
So close.
But yeah, like some things have like been recanonized, which you know I'm aware of. But
the original KOTOR game is canon in my head for sure, like Revan and stuff.
Revan, yeah, the whole narrative of Revan. I feel like I'd be down with that. Like I'd be okay.
It fits really well.
Yeah, and like until it's overwritten by something else, I feel like in my head it can still exist. With the Thrawn trilogy, like you were saying, how you're able to kind of parallel that with everything else. I'm not really able to do that just because like there's so much stuff that happens after episode 6, and it's almost hard to believe that that like scale of narrative would have been able to fit in amongst all these other stories.
It's not as big as you think.
Well, like the whole like
basically Thrawn, he finds experimental star destroyers that can be used remotely, basically, like drones. And he uses that to fight the New Republic with like unmanned ships, basically, like a really small Imperial faction.
Well, I guess like there's parts of it that
so like that would fit fine.
But wasn't like Mara Jade in it? And
Mara Jade did exist,
and
yes.
that guy Jacaerys, what's his name?
Sorry,
was that guy Jacob?
Oh,
the wizard.
Yeah. You're talking about the clone.
Yeah,
Jedi.
the clone Luke or something, right?
No, he clones Luke.
Oh, he clones Luke. Yeah. Oh man. See that kind of stuff, right? Like that kind of stuff that I'm like.
I'm mostly thinking about like specifically Thrawn's story arc.
Okay. Yeah. That's fair. Like pieces and bits of it. But maybe we'll get that story. And
I would like Mara Jade to be canon.
I mean, like
there's
I
still
feel
technically no reason for her not to be.
Dude, technically, it could still happen. It could still happen if they still have time between.
She could die, and then maybe that's the real reason why Luke was depressed.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe that
is her gravestone. He's looking.
The Ben thing was just the last straw.
And don't forget Orlando book with him and Luke. Luke is in the Orlando book.
This is a non-canon.
Shadows of the Sith. No,
that's canon.
Canon book.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking about non-canon. So I was trying to think we're talking about.
Like talking about like fitting that story into canon. Like I feel like there's enough time between that book and the last time that we see him in canon that they could throw her in, kind of like how they like managed to cram Thrawn into the Rebels era, you know?
Right.
Like there's still time that they could put her in and get rid of her before the sequel trilogy and the narratives that we've had so far with him in books with Lando and stuff like that.
At least until we get these films coming out soon. The rest of Mandalorian stuff and Dave Filoni's movie.
Like the gap was closing, so like time is running out.
Come on,
so get her in there.
It's still not hope.
Exactly. But
I had another one. well, I'm going to say like Exar Kun and a lot of like the old Sith stuff.
Oh yeah,
Stay.
super ancient stories.
stuff
Like
that- and like the splitting of the Jedi and the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was going to say Dirge. And to be honest, and you're going to be so upset with me, Josh, but the 2D Clone Wars, it's still canon in my head because it's awesome. Especially because they in the 3D they never successfully finished it, so they never got to do the attack on Coruscant.
That's true.
Which is like the best part.
It is true. The 2D Clone Wars does tell stories that the 3D Clone Wars does not, and those 2D Clone Wars stories could still somewhere fit in the narrative. You know what I mean? And like
the only thing that I know for sure wouldn't fit is that Asajj Ventress originally dies, but she falls to her death, so you never actually see her die.
No, but then in the 2D Clone Wars series, they never bring her back either.
No.
But it was a micro series. I mean, we're talking like...
And after that, I think it jumps to closer to Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, it does. There's 2 volumes. We're talking like a total of maybe like 2.5 hours worth of content that's supposed to span 3 years worth of Star Wars narrative.
Yeah, I feel like you could slot them in.
There's definitely like areas to slot those stories in for sure. So yeah, and I'm still chapped that Clone Wars never like made a story that how Anakin got his scar.
I know, man.
I'm still chapped about that.
How do they miss that?
I don't know.
Because like I rewatched. I thought it was from the Asajj fight, but I rewatched it. It's not. He just comes back from battle at some point. He just has the scar. And
Yeah.
Padme's like, oh, what happened? And he just kind of like looks away.
Well, you know what? You know why the lore exists that he got it from Asajj Ventress is because in one of the visual dictionaries, it lists his scar as given to him by Asajj Ventress.
Okay, because that makes the most sense to me where it would come from.
Yeah, it was from I think it was the Revenge of the Sith visual dictionary. That was where we first learned about that.
Okay, good. So I wasn't crazy. I thought I might have just
no. Yeah, you're not
up.
crazy. You know, it's been a thing for a while that's been remained fairly ambiguous to figure out. But
and back to why I brought it up, Dirge is awesome.
Dirge is awesome.
He is such a cool character that actually seemed formidable to a Jedi who wasn't a Force user.
It's honestly, I think one of Clone Wars' 3D animated series. One of their biggest shortcomings was definitely not including Dirge.
I don't know why they didn't.
I don't know why they didn't either. It's just like he would have been such a sick bounty hunter to put in there.
Yeah, they had so many bounty hunters in that show, and they never included him.
Like they could have.
I gotta ask Dave that. He must just
dude.
like
they
have a bone to pick with Dirge.
Yeah, like they could have done a crazy cool story arc where he would have been like this boss level bounty hunter when the Separatists put like Cad Bane was a pretty ruthless guy. Like he was able to hold his own against Quinlan Vos and Obi-Wan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like and he mentions in that episode that the Separatists have got a million credits ahead bounty on any Jedi that's killed, right? As long as you can bring proof, you get 1 million credits. So I feel like Dirge is one of those guys.
Yeah, he could have been in there.
He could have been in there. They could have kicked off the arc with him like hunting down a Jedi and killing him, right? And then it like gets going, and you know it could have been like a 3 or 4 episode, kind of like how they did the crazy Pong Krell story arc on Umbara. Never saw that arc coming in Clone Wars at all. Like I don't think anyone expected them to do something like that. Like Dirge could have been one of those story arcs where we just had something super gritty and like.
I feel like he fits well as like a bad guy though.
Yeah, he would have been the bad guy. Like he would have been the villain of the kind of like maybe the Grievous intrigue storyline where you know like you get a lot of Grievous and his dumb droids and stuff, and then there's like the younglings and Ahsoka and stuff like that, right? Like it could have been interesting. It could have been interesting, like if they had him as a main character at some point, even if it was just 4 episodes.
I'm okay with him also just being for like 1 season. He was just like the villain.
Yeah,
I guess the main issue probably was that they had Cad Bane and they didn't need to, but they were pretty different characters.
Right. Yeah, they're like, and they're so different. Right. Like he, I don't know. Like maybe they could have done some really cool stories. That's what I'm saying. Like all I'm saying is like I think it was a missed opportunity, but
especially if it was jousting.
Speeder jousting.
It doesn't make any sense, but it was cool.
It was cool, and to this day it remains one of the coolest designs. Is Sideshow Collectibles recently did a statue of Obi-Wan on the speeder with
the full armor,
with the clone helmet and the armor and stuff, and he has the big pole.
That's cool. Yeah.
I think he's got like a cape,
like a cloak over.
Yeah, he's got the cape
or a kimono. It's not a kimono. It's gonna be a poncho or something.
It was like a brown cape with like the pin to
right.
His
yeah, that's what it was.
plate.
Yeah, it's very like Roman.
Yeah, it was sick. Anyway,
I think there was one, I was going to say, it technically doesn't fit, which is too bad, but I much prefer their take on Grievous, both being a just like skillful sword fighter and a badass who just like slaughters a whole bunch of Jedi so easily.
Yeah.
But also it explains how he gets the cough and the rasp.
Right.
Which was from Mace Windu.
Yeah,
And
that was
they
another thing that just went overlooked.
Well, instead they just gave it to him in the very beginning of the 3D Clone Wars, when in the original 2D he didn't get it until like the very end.
Yeah.
Right before, like literally right before Revenge of the Sith starts.
I would have been really happy if they like included that as a piece of the story, but just even if they shifted it earlier, like it's just a move that Mace Windu pulls against Grievous or something.
And Grievous would have been more cool in the 3D series if he was at his full capability.
Yeah, totally. I don't know. Missed opportunity.
It seems like you want to move on. I'm going to ask you one last one. Starkiller, Force Unleashed.
Ah, man. You see, in this day and age with Inquisitors, I really struggle with Starkiller.
Well, yes, but he would have been specifically under Vader, whereas the Inquisitors are more of a council that worked for the Emperor.
I can see it maybe still being a possibility to fit in, but I think the depiction of his level of power would have to be way toned down.
Yeah, I feel like that comes up every time this character is brought up.
And that's what made him awesome, right? Like that's what made him super cool, was like that he could like pull a Star Destroyer out of space and like
it's pretty crazy.
Fry someone with insane lightning and like just all these insane things. It's like, okay.
I liked his bubble attack. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and like I think the cherry on top was like the design of the character looked amazing. You know, like in any version.
Shout out to Sam Witwer. It was literally exactly the character.
I mean his costume, you know, like his costume.
Which one? He had like a different costume in every level.
There was some great skins. Like there was like, so the default one was cool. Like he's very like raggedy.
Right. Yeah, the Imperial looking one.
And then there was like the Sith Starkiller version, which his helmet is in Andor.
That's right.
Such a cool like
Does
nod
that
of
make
the
him
head.
canon? I don't know.
Everyone thinks he's awesome. That's why they put it in there.
The designs are really cool.
Yeah, and then
his Jedi robes, I think they're called Jedi
his
Adventure robes.
Jedi Unleashed like redeemed version.
Yeah, those robes were super cool.
Yeah.
They're very Assassin's Creed. I think it came out around the time of Assassin's Creed, so
right.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, like
inspired.
every design was like out of the ball, like just out of the
Super
park,
cool.
like just knock out of the park. So yeah, I don't know. I'm like indifferent to that one, I guess, but I still struggle with it. I think they would have to really make adjustments to make it work.
Well, the helmet's there, man, so it's got to be true. It's in my head canon now.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Let's move on to our one last thing here, which, you know, as Cantina Banter goes, we kind of like pulled this up last minute, but you wanted to mention shrinkflation has been a bit of an issue with Star Wars Lego recently.
Yeah. I feel like just the cost of production of stuff now is they're having a hard time putting out the same value they could with the same dollar. So stuff that used to be like $40 is like $80. The stuff that used to be $100 is $200. And so I think they're compensating by making the sets smaller, but they're tricking the buyers by still having a high part count, but they're way smaller pieces. So the numbers look similar on the box, but you're getting a much smaller product.
Right. I think this has been a bit of an issue for quite some time, and it's been slowly progressing. Right. It's gotten worse and worse. But
as they re-release the same like vehicles and ships and stuff, like a second, third time, whatever, I feel like from the last time to this time, since like maybe last year, maybe since like the clone turbo, not the turbo tank, the other tank, the hover tank.
Oh, the Battlefront 2 tank? Yeah.
I feel like that was like the first one where we saw it significantly reduced in size from the previous versions.
Right.
And it's just everything they've done since then. I shouldn't say everything, but a lot of the stuff that they've done since then have all been shrunk versions.
So I'm looking at, so we were exchanging some photos the other day, and I'm looking at a picture of the old V19 Torrent Clone Wars Starfighter, which is
one of the new ones just came out.
Yeah, it's like got the, it's basically got it when it's in the landed position, all the wings kind of fold up, and the one in the middle, which when it's flying, it's facing downwards, it completely does like a 180 over the cockpit. And
this is the only ship that's Republic that the clones use that does not exist in Attack of the Clones or Revenge of the Sith.
Right. It's like exclusively Clone Wars
This animated series.
animated series thing in both 2D and 3D.
Oh, is it in the 2D?
It's in 2D as well, yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's in, I forget which volume, but anyway. So yeah, the new one.
Man, it's such a huge difference.
It's tiny, dude. Like it looks like an A-wing, but somebody like stapled some extra like.
Yeah, that's about right how I would describe it.
I mean, okay, I'm kind of digging the arm printing on the Obi-Wan minifigure.
Compensating. I will say they have been compensating with like new minifigs that are pretty solid, and that Obi-Wan with the clone armor is awesome.
Yeah,
that's definitely the best one they've done
for sure. Yeah, because they normally don't include the arm printing on a lot.
And I think that's the first clone pilot that has the actual clone pilot helmet.
Oh, I think I've got one actually.
Is it the actual helmet though with no fin?
Ooh, you know what? No, you're right.
They've never done a custom mold for him before.
You're right. I think I have a fin on mine.
Yeah, that's what because they just did the same one. They just put yellow on it.
Oh man, that is cool. Okay, so the minifigures are pretty sick. The ship sucks.
That's the problem. Though, if you go to the third one, the third picture you have there, which is from the show. So I had heard online that even though the ship is smaller, this is more accurate to canon for scale.
I mean, this picture would say otherwise, though.
I don't know, man. Look at that. If you picture that clone as a minifig,
yeah,
and then go back, I feel like that's roughly the same height as the minifig.
But I feel like the original one is a better scale, though. Like this definitely is more to scale than this when I'm looking at that picture.
I don't know, because like the top of the clone's head should go roughly to the top of the cockpit.
Well, like height-wise, they're both kind of the same. But, well, actually,
no, that
this
one's
one,
quite a bit taller.
This one has a stand that it's on.
It has landing gear, yeah. The new one doesn't have landing gear, which is really lame. I feel like the new one is more accurate, except for the wings are too short.
Well, like, look at the height of the wings, though. The wings go like way up, like this, right? And then this one is just like 4 minifigures tall. Whereas, like, I don't know. I don't know about the scale. I feel like it should be like maybe 15-20% bigger.
Yeah, okay, I can agree with that.
But I think that's why this one to me just feels like really good. And maybe it is like a hair too big, but at the same time, it's like it feels more
satisfying
a little. Like, yeah.
What we can definitely agree on is the turbo tank.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Yeah, the turbo tank is awful, man. Like
technically, even the original one they made in like 2006, that one was too small for representation in front of the movie. Because in the movie, I think it's huge.
Yep,
it's like a building.
Yeah. The original one was. We were just looking at pictures the other day of this, and the new one is like dwarfed by like 35% of the size. You know,
it's crazy. I don't know how they honestly like justified that.
Yeah, it's a little strange. Here's another picture of like the V19 Tornado. He's like sitting in there.
It's funny how they called it that instead of like a letter than a wing.
Action figure version. Yeah, I don't know. It's cool design. I like that ship a lot. They've only made it once, other than this year.
I think the new ARC 170 is also quite a bit smaller.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've seen it as well. It's sucks. So
something that's been irking me for a while. But if you buy some of the sets that aren't repeats, so like right now I'm building the Star Destroyer, the one that comes with what's his name?
Cal.
Cal, thank you. Yeah. And when I bought it, I mostly bought it for the Cal minifig.
Yeah.
But as I've been building it, I've actually been pretty impressed. They did a really good job with it. Like proportionally, even though it's only about maybe just over a foot. Maybe like
what? The Star Destroyer?
Yeah, it's like probably about this long.
No way.
It's about 18 inches. Yeah, I'll bring it over at some point.
How much was that thing?
I got it on sale for like 180 Canadian.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad. I mean, for like 1,000 pieces, right?
Yeah, I think it's like 1,500.
Yeah, that's all right, I guess.
Yeah, as I'm telling you, it's got lots of parts. This is the thing they're doing now. There's lots of parts, so it looks like it's the same as before, but the parts are smaller. Which you do get more detail.
Yeah.
But it's also, sneaky.
I can never bring myself to get one of those ships because the scale is so off.
It is, but the proportions I'm not quite done, but from what I can tell, look like spot on to the proportions from the models, which I'm very impressed with. They were able to do that.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Am I getting the light quick?
Oh yeah, sure. Let's getting a little dark in here.
Here, look at this.
Oh, did you bring that over?
I did for you to check it out.
Man, that's awesome.
Commander Cody, Phase 2.
Commander Cody Phase 2. From which set is this from?
That is from the ATTE, but I just bought the minifig from Bricklink because I already have an ATT.
Oh.
But they've never done Cody Phase 2, and I've always thought he looked super badass.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I had to snag that.
Yeah,
I think
no
this is
kidding.
the only orange visor they've ever made.
Yeah, I don't think they make them in any other color usually except for gray.
Just a gray one, yeah.
That's cool though.
Yeah, because we got Rex now from that like $16 set. So I'm like, I better get Cody to go with them.
Dang. Yeah, that's nice. Come to think of it, they might making them in blue because I think they did a 501st battle pack a while ago, or not that long ago, and I think maybe the visors are blue in that. Could be mistaken, but
Okay,
anyway.
maybe they're changing it up.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but that's a cool figure. Okay, but okay, well, like what exactly should they do if this shrinkflation thing is an issue? Like if it's more expensive now to produce a set with less pieces or less size, do they just increase the price tag on everything, like everything else out there?
I think they were doing that till they kind of reached a point where they just couldn't like justify it, even though manufacturing that's what it is.
It's hard to believe that like
there's a lot of stuff with that issue now. So like a candy bar right now, man. If you get it from a grocery shop, it's like $3.
It's insane. Like
yeah, it was like 90 cents when I was growing up.
Man, it's like it's hard to believe that a Lego set needs to cost that much though. Is my thinking. Like
yeah, I mean it's just plastic, but I think the quality of their quality control is like super tight and super strong. And they hire real engineers to like design these sets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do. Yeah. They get turned into Lego masters.
That's right. Let's trust the system.
Yeah.
I think it's the production cost though. So
I think a lot of it is, but I don't know. It's just at times it's hard to believe because like they make so much money. Like they're listed in like one of the most successful toy brands of all time, and they have just a monopoly over that type of toy, right? Like a
Even
brick building
they
toy.
Almost went bankrupt in like
the
90s.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is pretty crazy. They came back from that.
Yeah. But
I mean, it could be as simple as the recent CEO is just getting every dollar out he can.
Yeah, maybe.
Are they a public company?
I don't think so. I actually don't know.
Okay, because if they are, that also explain it. Because every quarter you got to be ahead of the last, or start running into stock problems.
Right, or just greed.
The whole thing, man. The whole thing runs on greed.
It's kind of nuts, like.
I just want my little plastic guys and some ships.
Yeah, I know, right? Like it just, man, yeah. It's one of those. It's one of those toys that like once you buy, it's like you never get rid of the bricks. Even if you dismantle the set, you put them in a box, you keep them for like the next generation, or you pass them down to somebody else or whatever.
Yeah, and if you ever get an opportunity to get more, you snag it up.
Yeah,
I was at Blue Village the other day, and I've never seen Lego there because it gets scooped up so fast if it ever shows up. But they had a couple just like random bags of stuff for like $6. I got an Ahsoka in there.
What?
Yeah, and I got not Commander Fox, but like the red troopers.
Wait, sorry, and where was this?
This is Valley Village, just down the hill from here.
Just like some random.
Yeah, and they got get this. So like they made like the official Lego like chess set.
Yeah,
it was like you buy it at retail for like $100, and now you can buy it secondhand for like $300.
Dang!
I got the whole thing for $15.
Oh my gosh!
I know, I was very happy. It was a good day. That was a very good day. The only downside is you always get a bunch of Mega Blocks in there.
Yeah. Throw them out. Mega Blocks.
Right.
It's like the bane of a random Lego box's existence.
Right. Oh man.
Oh, all right, I'm fumbling words now. We should wrap things up. Okay, what do we have to look forward to next week?
We're talking with Francis.
We're talking with Francis. Yeah, what are we talking about Francis about?
We're going to be chatting about the potentiality of what's going on post Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
And the hints of what we have in canon of what that might lead to.
Nice. Yeah, the new Jedi Order. And that'll be a back to our regular programming. So hopefully you all enjoyed these Cantina banters that we've been doing, and we're gonna do a lot more because got to keep things fresh, got to keep things interesting,
And keep it chill.
keep it chill, casual, and unplanned.
Fly casual.
Exactly.
How come that line's not in the intro? It's perfect.
Oh, I should put it in. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'll put it on the soundboard.
All right.
All right, sir. We will see you in the next one.
See you out there. Keep flying.
All right. Thank you so much to our audience for tuning in. Go and check out our website, StarWarsPodcast.ca, along with all the links in the description box below. You can find us on YouTube and X with the handle at SW Escape Podcast. You can find us on Blue Sky with the handle StarWarsPodcast.ca. You can find us on Gmail and send us your questions with swescapepodcast@gmail.com. So shoot us your questions. We're going to hit them in the next Cantina Banter. We'd love to get in touch once again. May the Force be with you, and we'll see you in the next one.